an article was
Scroll.
shoved in front of me that was a long scroll, but it was so good. And it was Top Gear's 208, odd number, coolest cars ever made. And then they suffixed that with, do you own one? And of course, that made me want to scroll down the list to see
Clever.
if I have ever owned any of them. And the answer is yes, I have. So we're not going to run through all 208, otherwise we'll be here forever. But I sent you the link today. What did you think? Because you're someone who grew up around a lot of cool cars.
Mean, I also follow Top Gear and Apple News, so I think I did come across this. But when I glanced at it, I thought it was talking about the Peugeot 208. So I moved past because I just saw Top Gear 208. I thought, I don't be spurred up. So I'm glad you sent it to me because actually, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, we've talked about this before. I grew up around a lot of prestige cars because my father used to service and sell them, and so it was quite fun scrolling through and kind of seeing which cars I, as a child, grew up with and could drive in. Because obviously, my father's dealership, they had the cars in dealership. We'd go on lots of car meets back in the day where you'd go out and drive to a pub and drink 5 pints and then drive to another pub, as they used to do in the old days, and outrun the old police cars that couldn't catch up with you. And so it was a bit of a trip down memory lane. Also, you might have seen on our YouTube channel a week or so ago, I posted a little short video about our local car show with some really cool old hot rods and more modern cars in it. And so it's quite kind of serendipitous to see this as well, as some of these cars were at the show. But yeah, I mean, I went through and looked at a few. I sent you a text about my my background. But why don't you start, Bobby? What did you notice? What stuck out to you?
Well, I mean, but just basically having a little scan through the first section of the list, first of all, I think the first thing that surprised me was seeing things like the 1929 Golden Arrow land speed record car. I had no idea they were capable of doing that in 1929. And then when you move further along,
it's terrifyingly thin tyres on it, though. God almighty. Like bicycle wheels almost.
There are some cars that I've actually met. So the 1930 Bentley 4.5 litre blower, I saw that at the Bentley Museum, the Bentley Speed 6 Gurney Nutting Coupe. Then, I mean, there's some really cool designs that, again, I just had no idea existed. The 1936 Bugatti Type 57 SC Atlantic, absolutely beautiful.
We talked about
this
before, didn't we? Bobby, about this design, about the design language of the early, sort of the pre-1950s American cars. That, I mean, obviously Bugatti's not an American car, but it's just that design language of the curved arches and the kind of the retro, the Jetson style, the Coupe de Villes. There was, as you said before in the previous podcast, the attention to detail in the chrome and the polish and the curves. I really miss that. I really miss that design. I mean, if you look at the 1938 Hispano Suiza, the Dubonnet Xenia, it's like someone's put a bunch of eggs together and covered them in metal. It's just amazing.
Yeah. Totally. I mean, it's not just like really beautiful, odd spaceship-looking cars. They've also, like the 1951 Citroën 2CV Fourgonnette, designed to carry a peasant and 50 kilos of agricultural goods at 31 miles an hour. But it looks so cool. I'd have one of those.
Well, I remember my mate had a yellow 2CV, not the delivery vehicle, but he had a yellow one that we used to drive around in Cornwall in. And that thing, despite it only having 2 horsepower, was just peg it around because it was so light. And it had the gear stick is like a sort of a turning gear stick on the dash. It's not down between your legs. It's right up next to the steering wheel. So it's really quick to control because you didn't have to keep moving your arm up and down. It's basically the next best step to having pedals on your steering wheel for gear changing. But yeah, I mean, I remember those things, and they were just so easy to maintain as well. That's why they were so useful for delivery vehicles. But yeah, I mean, the ISO Assetto in 1953, which is basically a bubble car with 3 wheels, that wasn't the one that Clarkson drove into a lift in BBC Broadcasting House, was it?
I have no idea.
He did a skit where he drove it. It was so small you could drive it into a lift and go upstairs. And he drove around the office on the second floor of this build of the I think the production building of Top Gear. But going forward, I mean, there's loads of really beautiful Formula One and Le Mans cars.
The bit where I got really interested was the Porsches, starting with the 1953 550 Spider, because I remember learning about those cars playing the original Need for Speed, which was all based on Porsches through the years. There were no other branded cars in that game, so you started off with the very first one, and then the idea was as you won races, you earned money so that you could then trade up as the eras went on. You know, my 1975 GT3, I think it was, in that game. And then as time went on, the cars increased in value as well, so that, you know, you're able to sell them for heaps of money. It was such a great game, that one. But look at the design language that they've never lost, unlike some brands. Like this 1954 356 is absolutely beautiful, but it's unmistakably a Porsche. You can see the DNA of it all the way through to like the modern day. But then you've got like the beginnings of some of these big muscle cars, like the 54 Ford Thunderbird. Oh god, yeah, it's absolutely freaking awesome. What was the car that the original Adam West Batmobile was based on? Do you know?
I don't know, but I know it does look like that actually.
Yeah. But then, like, look at this, like the 55 Mercedes-Benz 300 SLR with the gull wing doors.
Yeah, that was
like flipping hell. But again, the design language of that, when you look at the modern AMGs, right? You can see that the DNA is firmly there. And then BMW seem to have been the one that have gone through quite a lot of evolution, but that BMW 507, I mean, I guess if you look at the front of it, it's got that kidney grille design that BMWs are famous for, up until the beaver tooth rubbish that they put out a few years ago. Come at me, M3, M4 owners, I'll take you on. My M2 is more evocative of these original designs than your cars ever will be.
Okay, let me interrupt you there, Bobby. So the Batmobile for the original Adam West series, which has those wonderful yellow trim around the lights and the grille, was engineered with special effects built into it by Barris Custom Industries. But it did start off as a 1955 Ford Lincoln Futura concept car.
Yeah, that's it.
It was a Ford Lincoln, but yeah, because the kind of the wings at the back and the lights very much do follow the design. But yeah, it is a Ford. It's definitely a Ford, but not the Thunderbird.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many beautiful cars here. I mean, you got the Jaguars, so gorgeous from that age. I mean, obviously the first one that really got my attention is the 1961 Mini Cooper, because I had I had a 1986, 87 version of that, and it was just such a fantastic little car. And it's been one of the biggest success stories. And at the same time, the Renault 4, which has just been relaunched. And you know, the new one really looks so much like the original, and that's why Renault, I think, have done, after Mini, such a great job of rebooting their older models. The Renault 5 looks it doesn't drive as well as a Mini for me, and it's not as refined.
You looked at it, didn't you? You looked at the EV.
Yeah, I did. I really considered it before I bought it.
It's a lovely looking car. I love the look of it. Yeah.
But yeah, and the Renault 4, you know, we did have a look at the Renault 4 as well, and while it actually does look really, really cool, again, it just wasn't quite right for us. But then, I mean, you could sit here talking about this all day, but you're going to go into sort of the into the 80s with like the Magnum Ferrari,
308 GTS.
You know,
these are the cars I grew up being picked up from school in, and so on. Because my you know, the Porsche, the later Porsche Carreras, not the 72, not the 72 RS, but the later Carreras, and you know, and the non-soft tops as well. We had a lot of mostly Jaguar E-Types and Ferraris and a couple of Mazzas, but the GTS, definitely, we had the GTS, we had the GTB, we strangely not on this list, and I think is actually missing from this list, is the Dino Ferrari in the Ferrari yellow, which we had, which was beautiful. One car, and I'm zooming forward here, we can always jump back again. One car I sat in, didn't drive in, but sat in, but the actual car that's in this photograph is the 1983 Thrust 2. So Richard Noble came and brought Thrust 2 on the back of a trailer to the opening of my father's dealership, because he was a client that was going to be buying some cars from him. So he brought it as a kind of an amazing thing to show off for the opening. And then we all went out for a meal with him afterwards. And that thing, I mean, it wasn't really a car. You get into the cockpit and it's like a fighter jet inside. And I don't know how he drove it, because this thing was just a rocket, basically, with wheels. But when I saw that picture, Bobby, it just brought me so many memories came back when I saw that of the dealership as well. But yeah, and the GTO as well. The Ferrari 288 GTO was just an amazing vehicle. No, there's not got the Boxer here. The 512BB is not here. I can't see that, the Boxer, which was the very unique Ferrari with a big black aerofoil over the back and behind the cockpit. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, I kind
Very
of
popular, very popular car.
I was a very very tiny small child, so my only memory
Yeah.
of some cars is from Matchbox versions of them.
Well, the Testarossa, for instance, from Outrun.
That
The
I
Outrun
remember from
games.
Outrun,
Yeah, yeah.
And then you get like late 80s, and then you've got the Sierra RS500, the
Capris.
Lancia.
Yeah.
Right, so that
Yeah.
one of my
Yeah.
clients has this Lancia, and it's parked up near Hyde Park, and it is freaking awesome. Like, if I could have any car from his collection, it would be that one. It's so cool, and that is why I love the Ioniq, the Hyundai Ioniq 5, because it really is evocative of that kind of shape and design. It's such a cool car. And then just skipping ahead actually to some of the modern ones, which is then where you really start thinking, what were they
Classics.
smoking?
Yeah.
No, but like the Renault Avantime, the 2001 Renault Avantime was one of the most stupid looking cars that I've ever seen in my life, alongside that thing that Fiat brought out as well. I mean, look at it. It's
It's got a horrible bottom, isn't it? I mean, but then it was. I think it was remembered because it was so bad. Does that make sense?
It's not
And I
a
think
cool looking car. This article is meant to be the coolest looking cars of all time.
Yeah, but I remember seeing a few of these in like some like black versions for the gangsters and some like films as kind of a unique looking vehicle that the baddies use. But it is.
I'm sorry, right? Okay,
Yeah.
this is now where I'm going to be critical of whoever wrote this and picked these cars. But like, if you rocked up in a DB9, right, or a 1999 V8 Vantage Le Mans, even an Audi TT, the original '98 one, right? It'd be like, that's kind of cool. If you rocked up in an Avantime, that like you'd be like, have you fallen on hard times or something? What the hell is that piece of crap?
It's a really long wheelbase, isn't it? It's really long.
Exactly. If I've offended any Avantime owners, then good.
Maybe they're the ones that wear flip flops in the office, Bobby. Who knows?
They would be. They
That's
totally would
a
be.
diagram.
They'd have a stock of flip flops in the back of that bloody thing.
Is this the car equivalent of an office flip flop? Do you think that's what it is? Okay.
I just vomited in my mouth and swallowed it again.
Yeah, there are some very strange choices. That concept Cadillac is very strange.
Then you come into sort of the 2010s, and then it's where you kind of see things like the Rolls-Royce Wraith and the Bentleys, where they're so classic in their design, but they evolve the design subtly over each decade, and they just haven't, even to this day, have not lost their identity at all. The Alpine A110, brilliant car. One of my best friends was one of the first people to own one of those, and they are ridiculous fun. Like, such a great car, really pared down, and like all the nonsense stripped out of them, and they're just a proper driver's car. Yeah, and then you kind of get through to the modern day, and as you get to the end of the list, I definitely, anyone who's still watching this, go look at this article and have a scroll through.
Link to it in the notes, perhaps.
Yeah, let me know what you think they should have included that they didn't. But the very end of it, they then include some weird stuff like the Skoda Superb Sleeper. Okay, yeah, it might be a great, ridiculously fun dad car, but it doesn't look anywhere near as good as an RS6. No. And then they've got the Honda Super N, which, I was going to say, it looks like something that popped out of a Kinder Egg. Yeah, but they do finish on the TW.
They do, but they've put the pink Jaguar concept in, which is like one of the worst vehicles ever made.
It's disgusting. That's what I mean. It's like they start this article off so well, and then they gradually lose credibility when they get past the year 2015.
Okay, Bobby,
anyway.
Right. Okay, so you've got it now. You've got all the money in the world. So the cost is not important. You don't have to worry about value for money. Of these 208 vehicles, which one would you take home now?
Oh, that's not a fair question.
Okay. So because
that's
I've
really
looked,
hard,
and I have found one. It stood out straight away, and that would be the 2009 Porsche 911 by Singer. So you get the styling, the classic styling with all the rebuild and modern standards, and that would be the one. It's just, and in that color scheme as well, the powder blue and orange. Oh,
yeah.
That's the one I'd go for, the Porsche by Singer. So the custom Porsche. Oh, beautiful.
So I would go for, oh God, there are so many. I would go for the 1967 Toyota 2000 GT.
Okay, wow. That's interesting.
Beautiful car. Was first seen on film in You Only Live Twice.
Of course.
and it's the car that would then go on to influence the design of the Mark 3, Mark 5 Supra, whatever the Supra is that I sold a couple of years ago that I totally regret. But yeah, the Toyota 2000 GT, or I'd take the Porsche, the Spider.
Okay, yeah, the silver one with the convertible.
Yeah,
that's the sort of car that Sugar would drive, isn't it? That Spider.
Exactly. Yeah, that's it. I would drive that in my seats, and then I would have the 2000 GT for the weekend.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah.
But you know, I would also take a Mini, a 61 Mini Cooper any day. I love them.
Well, I very much enjoyed driving our Mini around. It is such a fun car to drive. You feel so stable. So we'll see if we can meet up, Bobby, about that and have a little drive off. Yeah.
So viewers, let us know what you think. What would you buy if money were no object from that list? What makes a car properly cool, just beyond reputation? Is it looks? Is it the whole package, including what it's capable of doing? Like, what is it that makes a car cool for you? And if you've got any like personal memories, or if you own or have owned or know someone who's owned one of these, let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear about it. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, or if you're listening to us, leave us a rating and review in your podcast app. It's the best and quickest way to show us your appreciation and help the show find a wider audience. That's it from us for this week. Thank you so much for watching or listening. We will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.